Hi everyone, and welcome to another stream here with me, Azure Greg. And tonight it's a little bit of turns of tables where Keith, I'm going to add Keith in right now. Keith wants to interview me. Hi Keith, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks, Gregor. How are you?
I'm good. Looking forward to the end of the week. To be honest with you, it's been a long week already.
I know exactly what you mean. Not long to go. Not long to go.
No,
Friday
no, no, no.
tomorrow.
Yes.
And this is not the official interview, but any plans for the weekend?
Playing golf Saturday and then going to Prague Sunday for Experts
Oh well,
Live.
that's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking
that
forward to it.
sounds really good. Yeah. Oh, I hope it goes well. Yeah, I couldn't make that one. I've got some plans on, but that was high on my list. So I'm hoping
Yeah,
next year for that one.
next year, definitely. It's very good,
Yeah,
really good. You'll enjoy
excellent.
it.
So good to go.
Probably as nervous as I've ever been on this because you're asking me questions.
I could ask anything right now, but no,
Yeah.
I'll go easy.
Might not be controversial.
Yeah. So yeah, as Gregor says, we're going to turn the tables a bit. Gregor's very graciously had lots of guests on his show. The streaming is going incredibly well. It's very, very popular. Hi, Sucheta. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
So yeah, we're just going to have just an easygoing chat. We're going to talk about what Gregor likes to get up to, what his role is, and so on. And it's a chance to get to know Gregor better. He's often asking other people, get to know other people. So he's looking a bit nervous, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, it's fine. So let's start with something straightforward. So if you tell us a bit, Gregor, about your current role, where you work, and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an Azure architect for a company called Intercept, who are in the Netherlands. I've been there just over 3 years, so the start of September was 3 years. So yeah, it's the first time I've ever been an architect, and didn't really have too much experience when I started with Azure. I had like maybe 6 months, a year. So I've been learning on the job and doing it as we go. But my main background is development, so I'm kind of coming to an architect role from the development side, which is it's not unique, but it's pretty unusual. Most people have got like server kind of background, but I don't. So yeah, it's been interesting, and I really enjoy working there. So it's been great.
Oh, that's really good. And yeah, you've had some time in there now, and as you say, you've done Azure for a while, because I remember when I got started with certifications, it was off your study guides and things you would put in your blogs, and that's how I got started with AZ900 and kind of got my path really. I think we first got to know each other when I was a developer years ago, and it's just, again, that helped me get started with Azure and certifications as well. So it's been a big help for me. So that's the role you've got at the moment, using Azure. I think we've covered this on a previous chat we've had, but how did you get started in IT in the first place?
When I was at school, I just wasn't very good at school. I was quite good at primary school, and then we went to high school. I didn't really, after 2 or 3 years, I just didn't like it. It just wasn't in it. Wasn't interesting me. So I started doing computing at high school, and it was basic back then, but I wasn't really getting into it that much. And then left school having absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. Like, genuinely not a clue. And then one of my best friends said, let's go to Coatbridge College. So I grew up in Coatbridge. He said, we can go and do what's called an HNC. So it's a 1-year college course. And it covers kind of programming and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what, I've not any better ideas. So I could get a college grant. So they paid me to go to college. So I was like, right, ideal, let's do that. Did that, really liked it. Did that for a year. And then after the HNC, you can do what's called an HND. So that's like year 2. So I did year 2 of that, and then got really into it quite a bit. And then my same friend said, why don't we go to uni? We could go to Paisley Uni and get a degree in 1 year. Now, normally degrees are 2, 3, 4 years. So I thought 1 year degree, yeah, let's do that. So I went to Paisley Uni, and when I was at Paisley Uni, I kind of stood out a little bit. I did quite well. A couple of my lecturers said, look, we've got some part-time jobs, like at night doing stuff for some companies. So that's kind of how it all started. And then from that, I applied for a job in Stirling, just like a startup company. And I had really no programming language skills at all. I was trying to learn stuff, but I was doing it all off my own back. And I joined this company, and this girl, Pamela, she was the senior developer at the time. She took me under her wing and basically trained me for the best part of 2 years doing ASP and working on customer projects. And that's when I got the bug for it. Loved it. So pretty much my career is down to her, basically, because that's when I got into coding. Because before that, I was dabbling in all sorts of stuff and not really interested in some of the stuff we were doing. And then development, I was like, yes, development, writing tests, doing things properly. She gave me a really good background on how to do things properly. Like she was quite strict with me, and I owe a lot to that. I see a lot of people these days just writing code, and it's not really the way to do things. But I was spoiled. I had a really good upbringing. So yeah, that's kind of how it
Brilliant.
started. Yep.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. It's funny, these people we meet across our career, whether they're managers, mentors, coaches, or just
Mm-hmm.
peers who, hey, check
Yeah.
out this cool thing. And you learn from other
Yeah.
people. And it sounds like Pamela's one of those people.
Yeah. And
Um,
then 2 jobs after that, I took a job at a company in Cumbernauld, an electrical company who worked in the North Sea oil rigs and things like that. So they needed a development company to work on their website. And there was a guy called Scott McLean who was the boss. Now, I didn't really get on that well with him, and I don't think too many people did because he was a bit of a tyrant. But that's where I learned all of what I would say my good points. Oh, I learned an awful lot from that guy. So I've probably got more. Him and Pamela were definitely 2 people who kept me right. And yeah, you weren't allowed to commit code without like proper pull requests. You weren't allowed to like skip anything. Like if you didn't write tests, you would be staying at like later on past 5 o'clock to fix it and stuff like that. So bit of a tyrant, but in the end, I owe a lot to these 2 people. So those 2 people were definitely 2 people that got me going in the right direction.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that sounds good. Sometimes at the time it doesn't feel great, but you
oh,
realize.
well, it didn't. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, all 5 people in the dev team all left at the one time because the guy was quite harsh on people. But to be fair, I learned the way to do things properly.
That's
Yeah, and it's
brilliant.
hard to explain what is the way to do things properly, but you need to not cut corners. You need to do things properly. You need to document everything. You need to test everything. As if your life depended on it. Are you going to check this code in and guarantee that it works?
Yeah.
Well, not guarantee, but if you've written tests, you know that it works to a certain extent. So
As near as
yeah,
you can. I think
yep,
sometimes you get the gut instinct as well. Hi there, Alan.
yeah. Well,
Someone said recently as well, if you do something and it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right.
yeah,
It's like the Scott Hanselman talk of, if you're copying and pasting your web files to the server, you're probably doing it wrong.
yeah.
There's other ways of doing it. Actually, before I go to the next question, Susheta's got a great one there.
Oh, yeah,
Azure Greg, we all know you love Azure. You use Azure.
yeah.
Is that how you came about the name? Is there any other
Yeah.
origin to it?
There was a guy called Azure Bert who is probably still, I don't know if he still runs under that name, but I just thought that's cool and he had cool stickers. So when I went to Experts Live, I ran into Bert and I was talking with him and I just thought, I'm going to try and do something like that and create a YouTube channel and try and create a bit of a name. And it never really took off. I just kind of went with it. So I just decided Azure Greg. So that's pretty kind of how it goes. So, yeah.
Oh, it's good. You've got a cool logo, and the character, the cartoon character as well that goes with the logo. I remember when you introduced that the last couple of years or so. Is that someone did that? Did you go to Fiverr? Did you?
No, I went to Fiverr.
Artwork?
I went to Fiverr
Nice.
for that one. Yeah, in fact, I tell a lie. It was a lady on Twitter. I went on to Twitter and just said, "Who can create me a logo?" And this lady I think she was American, and she just said, "I'll do it." And it cost quite a bit of time because I wasn't really sure what, but I thought it was great, and I just thought, yeah, that'll do. So I've just used it ever since. So yeah, that's kind of how Azure Greg came
awesome. So some of these people we've talked about so far, like Azure Bert, who inspired the name for yourself, and then Scott and Pamela, who've helped in different ways in your career. Are you still in touch with these people?
No,
do you bump into them?
Well, Pamela left and went to work for the Bank of Bermuda, and then got promoted, and then went to actually Bermuda. So no,
Wow.
Scott's still. I was actually looking up Scott today on LinkedIn. He's working in Glasgow, but I haven't seen him for a while. So no, I haven't really kept in touch with him, unfortunately. But yeah, I should really reach out to Scott and thank him for kind of a good upbringing and a good learning a lot. Yeah.
Maybe he's watching now. Who knows? Or watch this on demand. So if you are, hi Scott, hi N. It's funny you mentioned that because last Friday I went to Data Scotland in the amazing Murrayfield Stadium in Edinburgh. And I think it was maybe Data Scotland a few years ago was the first time you and I met in person.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going through the door and I went there not knowing anyone. I wasn't active in the community, and I could see you, because I'd seen you online, seen things you'd done, and because you're quite tall as well, straight there. As soon as I went through the entrance, like, oh, there's Greg. I'll say hi, and we ended up catching up on the day, which was really nice. But
yeah,
last Friday when I went to Data Scotland, I actually bumped into a former colleague I've not seen for 15 years.
Oh wow, nice.
And it was when I used to live in Scotland the time before. It's my second time in Scotland. And it was just like you say, it's, you know, bumping in and catching up and, hey, how's things? It was great to see them.
Good for you. Yeah.
So we talked there about, you know, you're an architect now. It may or may not involve development, depending on the organization and the role itself. Do you miss dev? Do you still do dev as part of your role?
Well, I've kind of been looking my career. I was a C# developer for a long time, and then when they started working on .NET Core, things got a bit ropey in the old C# land and the .NET land for a couple of years while they were trying to get rid of the things that would work on Linux and Windows. So I switched to a manager role in my last place, and that's kind of what I was doing then. And I kind of wasn't really hands-on. I was hands-on at night, just trying to keep my hands in. But I haven't run any C# for properly for a long time. So I do miss it a little bit. But I do still write PowerShell and do scripting and Bicep and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not that far away from it, but I'm probably as far away from C# as I've been since I started. Yeah, I mean, I started C# when it first came out. It's actually one of the first 50 in the world to pass the exam and got a box sent from Bill Gates, which is really cool.
Wow.
I was doing all the beta exams back then, so that was great fun. But yeah, I've not touched .NET since 4.8, so that shows you how old I am. And the last time I wrote any proper code, I still write some code, but not for projects or anything like that.
Yeah, I've got you. Not like it's hands-on day-to-day with pages and pages. And
I'm not.
So that award, you know, being one of the first 50, was that one of those MCSD or MCSE?
Yeah, MCSD. Yeah. So I was actually, it was a funny story. I was contracted out to Barclays Stockbrokers, and the project started for 3 months. Basically, they weren't ready to start, but they had everything in place. So we were all just sitting reading books, and I thought, I'm going to take my laptop and just study for this. So I just sat going through all the Microsoft docs and then did that. So it's quite lucky. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And you mentioned that you've had management in a previous role. Is that something you enjoy? Do you think you will do that again?
Yeah, no, it was great. The only reason I left was because the company remit was to get 10 or 12 devs in and then work internally on projects. But unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. The 10 or 12 really good guys, who I'm pretty much still in touch with, most of them, they all got seconded out to other projects and had to go down to England to work for customers. So that wasn't really what I was wanting to do. So kind of when I moved on. Alan's got a couple of comments and questions. So let me just bring that up. How difficult is it to find people that want to do things well in the IT world? Honestly, harder than you can imagine. I'll tell you a story. I joined JP Morgan as an associate, which is like the bottom level. And on day one, I got introduced to the senior team lead in London on the stand-up. And it was like, I says, what do you do for unit testing? And then he's like, we don't do unit testing. And I'm like, what? And yeah, I was like, really? Long story short, I converted them all eventually into doing this. But yeah, it's harder than you think. A lot of people think they know what they're doing. And I still give people a hard time at work. Even like today, I still give people a hard time when I see things not really done properly. And you can be I'm obviously a bit of a moan at people, and I moan if things aren't done properly, but that's just because I've been shown how to do it properly. And it's not a snobby thing. It's not I'm better than you thing. It's just there's a right way and a wrong way, and there's a quick way, and none of them are right apart from the right way. You know, there's only one way to do something properly, in my opinion, and you need to make sure it's tested and it's thorough. But yeah, we all cut corners at times. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't do that, but yeah, it's very difficult to find people who want to do things well, I would suggest. And he's also put a comment to say, don't worry, we'll convert it to sysadmin. Never happening. Not happening. Yeah, not happening.
Well, that leads me nicely on to, I was going to ask, you know, your future career plans, you know, beyond architecture. Are you happy where you are?
I don't know. I've kind of done it, and it's okay. It's not, I don't know if it's my end goal. I don't know what my end goal is, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'd quite like to try DevRel or something a bit different. I'd quite like to change it up a little bit. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I love architects and solutions for people, but yeah, I don't really know Azure networking that well. And in my line of work, you need to be really good at it. So I have to ask for help quite a lot of times. And that's just me. My background has not been networking. So I get to do all the dev questions. That's fine. I can help people with dev stuff all day long. But I don't know, networking. So I'm probably going to move in a different direction at some point. Not anytime soon, but we'll definitely not end up being an architect, I don't think. I'd like to try something else.
That's fair enough as well. I think about the networking. I found with many architects, whether it's Azure, Power Platform, whatever it is, many have a good fundamental and intermediate awareness of many things, but they've got their specialities. For you, let's say it's dev, but there may be networking isn't as strong, and that's when you can work, bounce off other architects, which I'm sure you do at the moment as well. You go to the networking or security expert for those, whatever you need to know for that part. So that's quite. I
just see certain people like Aidan Finnan, for example. He's like a networking guru, and I'll never be at that level. That's just not me at all. I don't sit doing like deep networking diagrams all day long. That's not really me. I'm more of a dev architect, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
kind of different flavor of it, but
you've got your speciality.
Yeah. I mean, my interest is really web apps, functions, serverless, databases, AI, that kind of stuff. But you still need to know a lot of other stuff, which is fine. It's just a lot to learn.
That's familiar. Bits of code that do stuff, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
There you go. I've got that in a nutshell.
Got another question here.
Oh, fantastic.
I've seen folks ask what is it like being an MVP, but I'd like to know what is it like to be an MCT.
Great question.
Yeah, I could get in trouble here. To be honest, I feel like a bit of a fraud as an MCT. So before I became an MCT, I looked up to guys like is it Ed? What's it? Ed Baker. Like Ed Baker's a guy in the UK who's an MCT. His job was to go and train people full time. Now, not that long ago, they basically said they dropped the entrance to become an MCT, where you just had to basically prove that you did some teaching. Now, it was really easy to become an MCT, and I think they made a mistake here, to be honest with you. Thousands of people became an MCT almost overnight. Maybe not overnight, but you know what I mean? It was really easy to become an MCT. So what do I like about being an MCT? Well, I'm only an MCT because work thankfully said, who would like to go to the Microsoft offices around Europe and do workshops? And I was like, I'm all over that. I definitely want to do that. So I get to teach the courses to people at the Microsoft offices, but I feel like a bit of a fraud of an MCT. To me, an MCT should be someone a bit like Dwayne Natwick, who's teaching people constantly. So that's my super honest answer. I feel like a bit of a fraud, and every time I do a renewal, I still think I'm not really an MCT. I mean, I do teach courses, but not to that degree. I don't get me wrong, I love it, but I feel a little bit like a fraud, to be perfectly honest.
Do you have workshops with clients, where you take them through and teach them things?
Or? No, I mean, I've always said to Intercept, I think we should be doing this. We should be. They look to us for advice, so we should be doing workshops. I did workshops in my previous job, and it was just done differently. We didn't really do that well with these workshops, but I think Intercept could definitely do workshops where people pay to come along and you spend a full day going through stuff. I would love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like build an app from scratch using Bicep and do all the best practices and deploy it using pipelines and all. I think that's what people need. The things that stitch all these projects together. Because everyone knows how to deploy like single services, but not everyone knows how to put them all together and deploy into production and have staging slots or do AKS properly. That's the kind of thing I think people would pay money for. Go and learn things from start all the way through to the end.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion anyway. Yeah.
That's a good one as well. It's a valuable thing as an architect. Can you see that holistic solution, all the moving parts, the security, how does it all glue together?
Yeah.
And there's some actually good things on Microsoft Learn there with the Azure, sort of example solutions as well. If you have this kind of scenario and it kind of shows you everything, all the services you could potentially need for a solution like that.
One thing I will call out, I spoke to, I forgot his name already. I spoke to the German guy, Christian, on, what day is this? This is Thursday. On Tuesday night about Azure Developer CLI. Now, I didn't really know much about this, but if you go and I highly recommend people look at this, because from a CLI, you can spin up an entire example solution and it'll give you the Bicep or Terraform, depending on which you choose. It'll give you all the code. It'll give you the website code for the solution. It'll deploy it all, and it'll also give you either a Azure DevOps pipeline or a GitHub action that you just need to put the details in, and it'll deploy the whole lot. And you can see all the code, and it's really nicely done. The Bicep is really well done. I've not looked at the Terraform, but yeah.
That's brilliant. So is that on the CLI commands there, or does it go to GitHub repo and it's got a template or something?
No, you can pull templates. There's lots of templates for lots of different Azure solutions that you can pull down, or you can create your own.
That's brilliant. So, yeah.
Really cool. And it's just like AZD up, and then you give it the name of the template, and it goes and deploys it. You wait 15 minutes or whatever it is, and then you've got your solution. And you can,
nice one.
really good, especially if you're not sure how to take an app and you maybe hook it up to Key Vault and put secrets in it that talks to Cosmos DB with SQL Server backend. All that stuff is all done for you. So you can open up the folders and look at the bicep, look at the Terraform, and see how it's all done. And it's really cool.
Fantastic.
Cool.
That's really neat. So you mentioned there before, DevRel might be a potential for you in future. I think you'd be really good with that. You're good with people. You communicate well. You're well networked. Like you're well known. Do you think you'd maybe consider that and start looking into it?
I probably would. I just don't know what kind of company I'd like to work for. I'm not sure. I spoke to a lot of people. See, the good thing is I always come back to networking. I speak to a lot of people, so I've got my ear in a lot of places. So I'm always asking people, what's it like to work here? What's it like to work there? And to be honest, without naming names, it's interesting. Some of the big companies are not the place to go to.
Right.
We'll leave it at that. But I'm always asking people what's it like, and they're like, no, bit of a nightmare. Don't. And I'm like, okay, good to know. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard similar things from many places as well. Good here, good there. Depends on your manager. Depends what role you have. Depends on a lot of things. But we're consultants. It all depends, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about some of the community work you've done. Now, one of the, I think the first presentation I ever gave was the Festive Tech Calendar a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was 2021. First one I ever did. Couple of reasons. One, I knew you. I was keen to see, how do I get involved? Can I present something? If I pitch something, I don't imagine it'll get approved. But also because it was a pre-recorded video, it was an online event. It was spread across December. I didn't feel like I was in a room full of people and it would be intimidating. It was a good starting point for me. And since then, I've done a few more. But I believe Festive Tech Calendar, was it you and Richard started that one together?
Yeah. We started it called the Azure Advent Calendar. And then we did that for I think we might have done 2. I don't know if we did 1 or 2. And then we got in partnership with Microsoft. And a couple of people at Microsoft were like, this is brilliant, but you should maybe move it into something a bit more than just Azure. So we did that. So we renamed it the Festive Tech Calendar. Same idea throughout the whole month of December. Anyone can take part. If you take part, you automatically get in. And it's kind of like what you said, is to try and get people to do their first entry into this stuff. Because everybody looks at YouTube and everybody goes, oh, how am I going to do this? And, it's quite hard to get started, especially if you don't want to do a user group. Some people just want to do their own thing, record it, or even just write a blog post. And yeah, that was the idea. It's the best part of it is the number of people who've said, you were the first thing that we did to get started. Like Shabazz, for example, he was the same. He's like, I didn't know how to get started. And I was like, well, just record a video and I'll show you how to do it, or write a blog post and we'll go from there. So
that's brilliant. Yeah. I didn't realize, but it does make sense. A lot of others would have started a similar way of, it's a nice sort of soft opening to presenting without the scariness of a big conference full of hundreds of people.
It's scary going to big conferences, and it's even doing user groups is quite scary. Yeah, I'm not keen on doing things like that. I don't mind sitting in my home. Nobody's looking at me. It's fine. It's different. It's okay on camera, but the more you're on camera, the better you get. Alan Florence, who's coming on here, my goal is to get Alan on.
Fantastic. Yeah. There we go. We've called it out now.
He thinks I've forgotten, but I haven't forgotten Alan. You're due on to talk about something. I'm going to get you on here.
Fantastic. So the Festive Tech Calendar, can you remember which year you started that? There's a few years you've done that.
I think we've done it 5 years now. So it must have been, what's this? It must have been 2018, 2019 maybe? 2018.
Yeah. Good few years then.
Yeah, it's been going to be well. It's great fun. I was thinking about doing. So people don't really know how to set up these events. I've kind of covered a lot of things, but I've not really covered how to set up an event. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a recording on that. So if you fancy coming back on, and Alan, you can maybe join as well. We could show you how to set up an event for free using Sessionize, because Sessionize, if you're doing a free event that people don't need to pay to join, they'll give you access to everything free. So you can go in, set up the call for speakers. You can set up the speakers page. You get listed all the speakers. You can send them emails to say you've been accepted or declined, that kind of thing. It does all that for you, and it's really, really cool.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that sounds really good. So I imagine what we now mid-September, the time's probably coming soon to plan for that next
one.
one.
We're going to plan it the week after next week. Once we're back from Experts Live, it starts. So we'll definitely be doing that. Need to try and get some people who want to help out. So the more people who want to help out, the better. Less work for us because it's quite a lot of work throughout the month. It does drag on a bit in December.
I bet. Well, I know from last year, but there's a call out there if anyone's interested. I actually took part last year. I was part of the organising team with Gregor, Richard, Lee, and Lisa as well, and it was really good fun. And spreading the load even 5, there was still a lot to do, but it was a great fun thing to be part of.
The only thing I don't like about it is having to chase people for content. I don't like having to say, like, when's your content coming? Because it's like due tomorrow, for example. And, some people sign up and forget. You wouldn't believe sometimes you get some crazy questions like, when is it? And I was like, well, it was yesterday, and things like that. And you're like, oh, so it's always good fun. It's always good fun. Because people think I'll sign up for it, but December's a busy month for a lot of people. People are kind of winding down, and then you're asking them for content. It's not much fun when you're trying
they want to get some time off, enjoy it with family, but there's still work to be done. And what did I sign up for? So if people do want to get involved, and again, I would highly recommend it. I enjoyed it last year. How's best to get involved? Contact you on Twitter, Gregor?
Let me just put my banner up. I've got a banner. Just ping me on Twitter so you can reach out to me there if you would like to help. It's things like sending out emails, helping with we do videos every day. We do images. You need to edit people's images and create. There's what do you call it? There's videos that I create using Camtasia, that kind of thing. That all takes quite a bit of time. But yeah. So if anyone wants to help with organising that'd be good. We haven't got a sponsor, a charity yet. Last year we gave money to a charity called Missing People. I'd really like to do the same again. Try and raise some money for that.
Yeah. They do really important stuff. They're really great to partner with as well.
Yeah, they are.
There's some fun things we did last year. We do the scheduling, but we get all of the sessions in. As Gregor says, everyone who submitted sessions, one of them will get picked, so everyone gets a chance to speak. There's no rejections, but there's also the fun of going through the sessions of, how do we pick which ones go forward? And also, we're lucky enough to be part of an interview where Microsoft interviewed us. It was actually Adam Jackson interviewed us last year, and we got Izzy on there as well, who gave the poem to kick things off, which was fantastic.
I've seen again this year. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's always really good fun. So I'd highly recommend that. Now, talking of things like Festive Tech Calendar, there's lots of other community things that you've done, Gregor. Some of these will feed into the MVP award that you have. Not everyone's familiar with the MVP award. So can you give us a bit of an intro of what the award is?
Yeah, so there's a thing that I always say that you don't try and become an MVP, it just comes your way, for example. So I always keep an eye out on Twitter for people who I see who are doing really cool stuff. And then I reach out to them and I'll say, are you an MVP? And if they say no, I say, well, have you ever thought about it? And if they say yes, then I'll have a conversation about them. But it's all about giving back to the community for the MVP. It's not about the badge. It's not about like, oh, I'm an MVP and all that, and getting the awards and all that. It's not, for me, it's nothing like that. To me, it's just, can you help people? So my main thing at the moment is to try and help. I'm actually trying to help somebody get a job. So that's my favorite thing. Trying to help people, a bit like you and Shabazz, get started. You know what I mean? Look where you are now. You're doing all sorts of things. You're an MVP. Shabazz is an MVP. Once you figure out this stuff and you kind of get a bit more confident, it's good fun. That's the main thing. But yeah, I do the Festive Tech Calendar. I help out with the Glasgow Azure user group, and I just look out for people and try and help them. That's basically all I do. I don't really do too much more. I don't really do public speaking. I don't really blog anymore. I used to blog, but yeah, and I kind of do the video thing as well. They're more interesting to me than blogging. Blogging just takes me too long. I end up giving up. I've got all these draft posts that I never send. So
That's familiar. Yeah. And that's a great message. And I think you put it really well, that it's all about helping people. And I remember, the first one I think I did for Festive Tech Calendar was really, I taken Microsoft certifications, found out after my first one about different discounts and free codes you could get, legally, the proper way, and thought, wish I'd known some of that before. And for me, it was like you've been doing, is sharing it with others.
Yeah.
And as you say, if you do that, good things will come, whether it's an MVP award or something else, or an
Yeah,
offer to write a book or whatever it is.
I didn't really talk about what you get as an MVP as well. So let me talk about that a little bit. So
Right.
I'm a big fan of networking, as you know, networking with people. The more you network with people, the more doors will open. So when I became an MVP, I started getting people on LinkedIn saying, would you like to write a book? Would you like to do training courses? So there's side effects to becoming an MVP. I also think this is just my opinion again. If you go for a job and you're an MVP, then that's a bit of a win. It's a bit like the exams. If you've got exams, I think that's a bit of a win. If you're an MVP, I think that's probably a good thing because straight away they know that you've got an interest in Microsoft technology and you've been acknowledged of having some knowledge of at least that. But you also get to go to the MVP summit, which hopefully you'll go next year. That was just out of this world. Like I got to be on campus and in a room talking to the teams who build these products, and I was actually walking by the buildings where they build these products. It was just fabulous.
Wow.
Like I'm not a data MVP, but I snuck into the pre-day where we were basically sitting and Bob Ward and all these people are there, and they're all talking about SQL for the whole day, and I was just listening, and it's fabulous because you can ask questions and see demos of stuff you see way before it comes out, and that's the other benefit. You get access to private previews well before the public previews. So there's lots of side benefits to being an MVP as well. But it's not just for a badge. If people want it for a badge, they won't get it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, Bob Ward, there, any other heroes or role models or big names that you met when you was at the MVP summit?
Oh, loads. There was loads. Honestly, there was Scott Guthrie was there. Mark Rizinovich. Yeah, they're all there. You get access to just about everybody. The only person who wasn't there was Satcher. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Lots of people. I mean, like the director of product from GitHub's there, and you're standing there asking them questions about what the roadmap and stuff like that. And because you're there, and it's not public knowledge, they'll just tell you because they trust you as an MVP. So it's brilliant. Really, really cool. I mean, I got to see all of the Copilot AI stuff well before it came out. You know, they were demoing stuff that's not even out yet still. So
Yeah.
there's definitely. I would encourage anyone who was thinking about becoming an MVP, definitely go for it. Definitely give back to the community as much as you can, and someone will notice you.
Fantastic. And I think you first won the award in, I think it was August 2019, if I remember right, from your website there. So you've had it for a good number of years. We can see the certificates behind you there as well. So
yeah, proud of them.
Yeah, that's it.
It's definitely worth doing. Definitely, there's a lot that you don't really get. You get access to like teams and teams channels, and there's loads of opportunities. Like the Ignite's coming up, and they're giving you the opportunity to potentially present at it. You don't get that if you're not an MVP. You know that stuff like that's brilliant.
Yeah, sometimes you get invited to things like the panels or the Ask Me Anything, and or even to present, don't you? So
there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah, exactly right. So fantastic. Well, another thing in terms of the community work you've done, and we've turned the tables today, but your streaming that we're on now is really taken off a lot. You've done a lot the last few months. I was lucky enough to be a guest. So how's it going?
Yeah, it's been going great. The idea was I had used StreamYard with Intercept. We used to do Intercept. I forgot the name of it. We used to do a show on Intercept with Richard and Wesley, and that kind of died off. And then I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. So I thought, right, what I really wanted to do was stream learning stuff. So what I said about the courses, I want to come on and basically show people how to build things and glue it all together and do the best practices. But before I did that, I thought I need to get used to StreamYard and streaming and talking to people whilst you're coding. Sometimes while I'm coding, I don't think I can chat while I'm doing stuff. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll have a chat with a few people and see how it goes. And then 47 people reached out to me saying, can I come on? And I was like, yeah, but give me a wee bit of time to try and plan all this. So the good news is I've got about 2 or 3 left. So I've got some more time, but the Festive Tech calendar's coming up. So what I might do is stream during that. But it's been going great. I really enjoy it. I've learned a lot of stuff. Like we got the guy on. I'm forgetting everybody's name now. This is terrible. David. I can't remember his second name now. David from Australia, who's building a product in Azure. He built a startup during COVID, and he was explaining how he built a startup and how he built an application that makes a lot of money. And they showed us the Azure solution and how it was built and the diagrams and all that. And I thought that was brilliant. And even the guy Christian on Tuesday, he was telling me about Azure Developer CLI, which was on my list to look at. I haven't looked at it, but I definitely need to go. So I'm learning as well. That's the main part of it all.
Yeah,
But
and I
it's good
think
fun.
many others are too. And I think like this format, just a casual conversation. You learn more. It's not
Yeah,
some kind of formal interview with scripted questions.
totally.
It works really well, and that's what I enjoy about it myself as well. So no, that's really good. I would ask if you've got anything else coming up, but of course, festive tech calendar
Yeah,
is
just the festive
is
tech.
looming,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that
I'm
makes
not. I'm
sense.
not. I'm not doing anything else. I might be doing a LinkedIn course to start next year. Other than that, I really want to get into streaming building stuff. Just need to plan that and have a bit of time because I don't want to come on and it be boring and people going, oh, it's taking like, deploying stuff can take time.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out how I'm going to fill that time in and show people stuff because I want people to learn stuff as well. Because I'll learn stuff while I'm doing it. That's the thing. I'll pick something I don't know anything about and we'll just go and deploy it and we'll figure out from there.
Yeah, so it's a tricky one, isn't it? I've done that with videos where I've kind of cut the fat while I wait for the Azure deployment to take 2 minutes to spin up. But you might have a cooking show where here's what I
Yeah.
prepared earlier or something like
Yeah.
that. There's a few options, isn't there?
It needs a bit of planning and I've not had much time. So that might be the start of next year. We'll do
Fair
that.
enough. I mean, another thing you do as well that keeps you busy or keeps us busy is me, you, and Matt Boyd as well. We have a podcast on air in the cloud. We've done that for I think we've got 5 episodes in or so now, so it's moving along well. We've got more guests lined up.
That's good fun too.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. Yeah, how do you find it's going? Is it? Yeah, I know you did a podcast before, so
yeah. I love talking to people. Like I really do. Just love speaking to people about what they're doing. Like sometimes we'll get the best one I think I've spoke to is a guy who was an architect who built data centers. Like I'm never going to speak to guys like that. So we got that guy on and we got to speak to him about like how do you architect a new data center when it's different from the previous one. So just by speaking to people, you learn a lot. So we need to get Shusheta on as well, and maybe even Alan if he's interested. But we definitely need to get Shusheta on. We tried to arrange that, and I kind of forgot about that. So we'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be really good. It's funny because you mentioned the data centers. I think it could have been Scott Guthrie or someone mentioned, going through all these Azure data centers and the kind of the roadmap and planning and the way things have gone cloud-based. You said something when he was studying at college. He never thought he'd be concerned of how fast concrete would dry or something, just because of the logistics of setting these things up.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who he's on LinkedIn, I can't remember his name again, but he's a data center architect, and he said when they built Dublin, which was the first one in like Europe, straight away they were told to build the second one half the price in half the time. So you can imagine what that's like because no two data centers are the same. They're all got different power, different size, different problems. The funny thing the thing always makes me smile is I used to say what would happen if a data center got hit. Well, like a like a meteorite or anything like that. Now I can just use what happened in West Europe where there was a storm and the tree pulled up the fiber cable into the. So that was quite funny. That makes me laugh. The fact that the whole data center came down because a tree uprooted fiber cables. Bit of a disaster.
I think they need a bit more chaos engineering in there just to stress test things. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think it was somewhere like Amazon or AWS or somewhere like that, where one of the higher ups would just go down the corridor and just like pull a cable, yank a cable out of a live machine, say, go on then. Need to see how resilient these machines are, and can it deal with trees toppling over things.
There's a couple of comments I want to bring up here.
Great.
Don't forget you need to go shopping. I'm not doing the dino outfit. We'll come back to that later, Alan, but I'm definitely not doing that. That's Mr. Lee and Nick. What's your secret about keeping up with it? I don't think you can. It's really, really difficult. My advice would be sign up to things like Azure updates and just keep an eye on it. But there's too many things change every day, every week. Every time I go and do like workshops, I log into storage and it's changed, and I'm like, oh, that's moved, or you caught out with that stuff all the time. So the one thing I would say is, if you are doing presentations, check that day what's happening because updates will come out and catch you out. And I remember doing, I think I was doing, I was given owner access and they had changed the bit where you do the permissions, and I was sitting there going, wait, what's happened? Yeah, so I don't think you can keep up to date with the ever evolving technology. You just have to. I've been quite lucky in my career. I've picked certain technologies that did me well. I did C#. I was going to do Silverlight. I skipped that one. I'm not looking at AKS. I know that's quite surprising, but I'm not. It's just not for me. Certain things I'm steering clear of, and just trying to keep up to date with everyone else. Like the data world. The data world was Synapse 2 years ago, and it's now like Fabric, and it's just so difficult to keep up. You just need to try and. I'm using this to try and keep up to date with people. I'm asking people about the new stuff. So, like, if I want to learn about Fabric, I'll get Andy Cutler on and ask him all about it. That's kind of I'm cheating the system a little bit. So I'm using my guests to ask them about stuff that I don't know about. But I've just given away my secret.
Oh, there we go. We've got a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah,
there,
I mean, that's the way to do it. So yeah, it saves me going looking into Fabric when I've got a high level idea of what it is. As long as you've got a high level. Yeah. There's a thing called a T-shaped developer, which I never knew anything about until I was at JP Morgan. And the idea is, if you think of the T, right? So across the way, you try and keep your level of knowledge pretty not too deep, but then you go deep in one area. So my area is probably development. So that's kind of what I do. I try and stick to that. I don't really want to go off and go deep into networking because it's just there's too much to it. If you try to learn everything, yeah, good luck with that. Not possible.
Yeah,
hopefully that answers the question.
It's a good question as well. There's so much coming out. Even if you went through, web dev with JavaScript frameworks, every time you blink, there's a new framework coming out.
Yeah, so I mean, I got out of doing front end development because of just that. Like every day was a new framework, and I'm like, this is just crazy. Yeah, and I kind of see that. I kind of see that in AKS land now, where it's like there's different third-party tooling all the time, and it's just like what. So you've got 10 customers doing 10 different things. There's 100 different. There's no way you can keep up to date with all of that. It's just not, unless you just do that, and that's fine. But I want to do lots of other stuff as well. So.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Another thing you've done fairly recently, is your newsletter as well, which has really got really good take up as well. Yeah.
Again, I was pretty lucky. I was looking at I can't remember the name of it. I just seem to have a blank tonight. And then I chose Beehive. Beehive's really good. So if anyone's thinking of doing a newsletter, do a newsletter. Here's the reason why. So Mike Pfeiffer always used to say, like, if you want to kind of grow an audience and you want to be able to reach out to these people, how do you do it? Like, you could do it on Twitter, right? But Twitter might disappear. But you're most likely to have people's email addresses. So start a newsletter and email these people out what you're doing. So any courses, any good links that I come across, anything that I'm doing, I'll just stick in my newsletter. And it takes 5 minutes once a week. I've missed a couple of weeks because I've been on holiday and stuff, but I need to do it tonight's like after this. So it'll take me like 5-10 minutes to doing it. I think Beehive's really good. Really good. Yeah,
that's really good. Yeah, I think I've mostly used MailChimp, but
I was going to use MailChimp, but I just went, that one looks nicer, so I just went with that. But it's really cool. There's a lot of nice AI stuff. And it's free at the moment. I think I need to get to like 2,000 followers, which isn't going to happen before it becomes paid for. But I think if you're a company and you're doing a newsletter, like Intercept should be doing Beehive, and because there's lots of boosting things where you can actually. Oh, no, I won't go into it. There's loads of marketing, really cool tricks within Beehive that you can do. They can make you money as well, so you can actually make money from your newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah, some serious money. Yeah.
I do hear there's a lot of things. Well, I guess YouTube, you get really big numbers. You could monetize it. Podcasts, you could get ad revenue. There's so many ways you can monetize things that get big followers, I suppose. But yeah, we do the community work for the love of it and for helping people. But totally. It's still an option too.
As long as I'm learning, I don't mind. I'm not in this to make any money. I mean, I've even this like StreamYards cost me $40 a month. That's coming out of my pocket. Like I'm spending probably $200 a month minimum on all of the tools that put all this stuff together, and I'm paying that out of my own pocket, and I'm never going to get that back. But I do it because I enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, people might go, "Oh, it's a lot of money," and it is quite a lot of money. Like Canva's like $99 a month. $99 a year. This is $40 a month. I'm using Camtasia, which I'm now paying for. Lots of other stuff, but just enjoy it. So I'm never going to change.
That's great. And I have a similar thing when I actually spin up a presentation in Azure. And there was one time that I forgot to destroy the RG afterwards. I got a nice big bill at the end of the month. I was like,
did you?
giving a presentation really cost me there. But anyway,
Oh no, not good, not good.
a story for another day. Anyway, but so
my claim to fame is I once got a customer 10 grand back.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I was surprised. The first person told me you're not getting any back, and then basically the customer spun up Synapse and left a SQL pool running. Over the weekend, we came in and it was like there was over 10,000, and I was like, I'm going to try and get that back. And the customer was like, okay, well, that's great if you're going to get it. And I got it back, so I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would normally expect to be like, oh, well, your fault, you pay. But,
no, the first person said that, but then I just reached out to someone else, and I was like, okay. And then this person was like, I'll put you in touch with someone, and then they were like, no, we might be able to do something, and then they got it back, so that was good.
That's good. They were reasonable. That's really good. In terms of learning and presentations as well, that you and Sarah, you run that Glasgow Azure user group as well. Really popular. Been going for a few years now.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to go along, attend a few, and even speak at a couple of. Actually, that was my first in-person talk. Was Glasgow. I say that was during the lockdown, so it was from this room. But yeah, it's a remote one. But that's always had a really good take up in attendance. How do you find running that user group?
To be honest, I do 10%. Sarah started it all. She did it. I attended. I thought it was great. She came up to me and said, "Would you like to help out?" And I used to just put the seats out. To be honest with you, I do a little bit more now. So we're now doing like I'm organising October's, and then she's going to do the next one, and then we'll take it turnabout. So yeah, it's good fun. Not so sure about. She does all the like ordering food and all that, so I'm glad she does all the money stuff. I just every second one I need to organize a speaker. I need to set up the meetup. I need to do the quiz and whatever else. There's a couple of things, but she does most of it, to be honest with you. So she does at least 90% of it. So I can't take any credit for that. She does it all, really.
It's really good fun. Yeah, it always goes. But it's always a really good crowd there as well, and there is a change in the people who go, but it's always a really good positive vibe there. It's always
I mean, the last 3 have been sold out, like standing room only, big time. Yeah, it's been really good.
Actually, I saw the photo of one for I think maybe Richard's recent one. Though I couldn't make it that time.
Yeah, that was rammed.
Yeah, standing, as you say, standing room.
Yeah, there was like 6 people standing at the back. Yeah, it was really good.
Fantastic. No, that's really, really good. So we've talked a lot about career, the community work you do. Is there anything when you're happy to share about what you do outside of work, including the holiday you had recently?
Yeah, I play a lot of golf, so I'm a big golf fan. I've been playing golf with one of my pals since I was 7. So we were on holiday. There was 4 of us in Portugal last week, so that was really good. Weather was brilliant. We're just away for 4 days. His father-in-law's got a villa, so it doesn't cost us anything, and the flights are like £50 return, so that's a no-brainer. Yeah, we always get cheap flights somehow. So we were over there, and then this weekend playing golf again. So that's really it. Yeah, I just play golf quite a lot.
Oh, fantastic!
That's great. Yeah, I'm trying to get away from sitting in front of the computer all night long and doing like all these kind of things, because after a while it starts to take a bit of a toll.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's good to get the balance, and it's sometimes easier said than done as well. But I think it's great having a hobby. I do have some friends who their hobby is the tech community work, but they don't have any other hobbies, or they've got family or other commitments, and they don't have time to find other hobbies. And so it really is all day in front of the machine to then do the same evening. But Alan's got a really good question. Are you going to take it serious? Are you going to go for a tournament or something?
No, too old, not good enough. Yeah. So I actually, interesting story. I used to be pretty decent at golf, and then when I started Intercept, this was the first time I've ever worked from home. So my steps have went. I used to like work in Glasgow, so it was a case of walking to the train station, get the train to work, and then walking to work. Anyway, long story short, I'm doing about 700 steps a day now. That's it. So it's like, so come the weekend, I'm like the old man giving it my back. So I'm that guy now. So the golf just went nosedive. So no, Alan, I won't be because I'm and I've noticed that when it's cold, I'm really bad. But the last few weeks have been quite sunny, so the season's been a crap in terms of golf, but the last 3 weeks have been really good. I've actually played really well the last 3 weeks, including my best ever game in Portugal. So that was good. I thumped everybody that we were playing with. It was like we did 2 on 2 on 2, and I beat them all. So that was hilarious. Yeah, one of the guys hates losing, so that was quite fun. Yeah, but no, not good enough. Not good enough.
Oh, fair enough. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. You'll get time, early retirement. You'll have the time to play.
During the winter, we'll do the festive tech. That'll keep us busy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Exactly. So,
yeah,
you mentioned before there about MVP Summit was a highlight last year. I remember you telling me that before. Did I see you tweeted today as well? You're going to Microsoft Ignite
yeah.
as
I'm
well.
going to
You go.
Ignite. Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Are you taking part? Are you going to be doing any panels, Q and
Uh.
A's?
So they've reached out to say if anyone would like to take part, fill in a form. So I filled the form in. So I don't know. I think I'll find out like maybe a couple of weeks before it. But yeah, I mean, I've took part before. I got to stand in the experts area and people come and ask you questions. That's quite interesting. I went to the one in was it last year's wasn't great. Gave them quite a lot of feedback, and I think they've listened to some of it from people. So I'm hoping it's going to be a lot better this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
great. Okay. Well,
last year was
fingers.
the first year they'd done it for a while, and it was a bit rough around the edges, to say the least. And it almost was like they forgot how to run an event. So I've got high hopes for this one. But the best part about this one is there's two guys at work who have been like Intercept for like 8 or 9 years, and I'm going with the two of them, and they've never been to America, so I'm looking forward to taking them and showing them around. So
Oh,
good fun.
brilliant. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
can't
really
wait.
good.
That'll be good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, are
Have
there
you
any?
been to Seattle yourself?
No, I haven't actually.
No.
I was hoping to go to Build at some point, or maybe next year,
I'm
or
going to go to Build as well. Yeah,
if actually if I.
Build's probably better. Yeah,
Oh, is it right?
I think
Right.
so. Yeah, yeah,
I think I read one of your blog posts. It could have been Ignite last year. I remember that you were saying there's a few
yeah.
disappointments. Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's not a bit of an understatement. Yeah. The
Right.
worst part was it was like Top Gear, but everybody's standing in this big hall, and they've got the main desk with the bit where they're going to introduce the speaker. And at the very start, there's a big countdown, and we get everybody cheering and all that. And then I thought Satya Nadella was going to walk out, and they came up on screen. And it was all recorded, and I was just like, "Wow!" Wow, the biggest event, and he's recorded a message. I was just like, "That's not great." And it didn't really get any better than that, to be honest with you. It was pretty poor, but I think they've learned a lot of lessons. Yeah, they've
Fair
put a lot
enough.
of changes in play this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Okay. But
yeah.
you say Build is normally quite good, is
I
it?
think
That's
build would depend on your background. I think build's probably better for the dev background, definitely, because all the product teams are there, all the product groups are all there, so you can ask them questions and things like that. Build Ignite's more not really salesy, but it's more kind of marketing a little bit. Yeah, more kind of here's our new thing, but they don't have the people there to kind of back it up. There's speakers, but the teams aren't there. That's the kind of main. That's the main difference. Yeah.
I see. Maybe MVP Summit will probably be my first
Oh,
Seattle
if
experience.
anyone's listening and they're an MVP and they can potentially go, please go because it was amazing. Like I didn't have high hopes for it because I wasn't really sure what it'd be like, but it was brilliant. Really, really good. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've talked about some of the community things you've done. Again, as you mentioned, blogging. It was a bit more active, not as much now.
Yeah.
You've got new things like your newsletter, particularly this streaming as well. I know we talked about this, the streaming that you're doing now before you started for a few months
Yeah.
of like, you was
We'll go back
raring
to
to
that.
go. Yeah, oh, absolutely. But even to get this one up and running, like I could tell how keen you were and how enthusiastic, like you really want to give this a go.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, again, if you're like me, where you work on one idea and then you write another 10 down, it's not enough hours. Is there anything on your list that you've not yet started, but you're keen to, I want to try this?
No, I mean, I started doing LinkedIn learning courses because I wanted to try that and see what that was like. Thoroughly enjoyed that. It's quite a lot of work. You don't do it for the money, but I wanted to do it just to see what it was like. So I enjoyed that. Don't know if I would do. I'm not super keen to do it. I'm going to do one to start of next year, but not massively keen to do it. I don't think I could do that full time. Not really interested in writing a book. Not writing's not really my thing.
Right.
So give that a miss. So maybe one or two more courses, and I think that's really it. The streaming is more fun. I like the streaming. It's more real. It's now, like you write a book and it's out of date. You do courses and they're out of date. This is like right now, live, just making up as we go along, and it's good fun. It's the same as a podcast. Talking to people now is what I'm all about, and I like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any podcasts that you listen to that you can recommend? Any highlights?
I don't really listen to podcasts. No, it's not a thing I really do. I gave up watching telly when I was doing the exams, and now I'm back to watching lots of crap telly. So, yeah, no more exams, and I'm just going to sit and watch crap telly at night.
Yeah, because you've taken a lot of exams before, so you don't have any on the horizon at the moment. You kind of okay where you are, and
There's one coming out that I can't even talk about, but there's one coming out to do with container apps that will be very interesting. So I haven't really looked at container apps, and that will definitely be worth looking at because it's a different type of exam. It's not the usual A, B, C, or D. It'll be different. Let's just put it that way. And I think they're going to change the exams to be more. Here's a scenario, go build it, and that's what I think the exam should be. And then you get marked on the deployment, because I still think it's quite easy for people to do some of the exams and they don't really have the experience.
Yeah, and certainly
even I've passed exams that I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
I did the developer exams at the start when I was first learning Azure, and I failed it twice and then passed it. And when I think about what I knew then and what I know now, it's like miles difference. I didn't really know enough to pass the exam, but somehow did, and I think I got like 700 on the mark. So, not really that clever. Yeah.
Join the 700 club. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I've done that a couple of times.
Have you? Yeah. I've got a friend who did. I came close with one. I think I got a 706 on something, but honestly, it was 12 minutes left of the exam when I finished. I felt like I'd gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
I'd not been knocked out. I'd gone the full distance because I was so beaten up by the end
I think the worst exam I've ever done was the SQL Server ones, because it used to be like, you remember the thing where you get the scroll bars left and right?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like the question would be like this long, and then A, B, C, and you were going like this constantly, and then you're like, what's the question? And you couldn't really write it down because there was like a pen and a crappy bit of paper, and it was like, oh, this is brutal. And I hated doing those exams. Those were the worst. So I'm hoping the exams are more hands-on going forward.
That does make sense. I guess it follows real life more. If you're building something, you architect something, you need to, you don't get presented with 4 hypothetical answers. You need to pick the right one. But
half the time, I like the fact that the renewals you can now use, in fact, the exams you can now use Microsoft Learn, because a lot of them are like, what's the SLA for this? And I'm like, I have no idea. I would need to just Google it and
you look it up, right? Yeah.
Now you can do that in exam. So hopefully the open book stuff might change the kind of way they ask questions.
Yeah, I think you're right. As you say, the recent development for the actual exams is you can open up Microsoft Learn, search through that. I know Liberty Munson gave a good interview on that recently, explaining how that works. I know a few people that's taken effect as well the last couple of weeks. Cool. But as you say, renewals, could be complete open book. You do them for free at home online. So you can kind of look up anything there. But it's certainly changed a lot in the last few years, those certifications, since I started, which is only a couple of years ago, really. So great. Well, I don't want to run over time. So is there anything you want to, last few minutes, anything you want to finish up with?
Say that after next week, so let me see what day that is. That will be... I'm back on the 25th. So the 25th we'll be doing the call for speakers for... I'll call it out right now. The 25th we'll do the call for speakers for the Festive Tech calendar. And if you put a session in, you're guaranteed to get in. Obviously, if you put 3 in, we can only choose 1 because that's just the way it has to be. We can't have 2 or 3 because then we'd have loads. Last year we had 94. Hopefully we can try and beat that. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah, 3 digits. That's what we're after. Over 100.
3 a day would be good. Yeah, and then I'll probably do some streaming during that as well. So we'll do some live stuff as well.
That would be good.
Yeah, we need to think of if anyone's got any suggestions for charities, then please do let me know. It doesn't need to be a UK charity, any kind of charity. Last year when I was thinking about this, an email popped in about missing people, and I was like, that's the one. So hopefully something will just pop into my head just at the right time. So I'll grab Richard and we'll have a chat when we're at Express Live next week, and we'll figure some stuff out. So
fantastic.
Keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Gregor. It's probably a good time to wrap things up. So I'll just say you've been a great guest. Thanks, Megan, for coming on.
This is the most nervous I've been. I don't know why. Normally I've got like questions lined up, and I'm like, right, I know this person, and I know this, and I know that.
Yeah.
Even the people I don't know, I'm like, I've got a wee bit of an intro into that. Yeah, this one was good fun. Right.
No, it was. I think a lot of people want to hear, more about you. You interview lots of other people, but they may not know much about you and the sheer amount you do to help other people. So I thought it was a great opportunity. We could hear from you. So
it sounds corny. It sounds corny, but giving back is like, I don't know. I got a kick out of giving back to people. There's a guy, Shushed, I can't remember his name. Not Shushed, sorry. There's a guy on LinkedIn who's looking for a job right now, and that's kind of my priority. I want to try and get because he used to be a Microsoft intern. You know, he's got a really good background, but he's from Kenya and he's really, or Nigeria, I think it is, and he's really struggling to get a job in Europe because people see Nigeria and think, I'm not going to hire that way. You know, they want to hire east of that. So, yeah, we'll see how we go, but hopefully we can try and get my job. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, thanks for doing
fantastic.
this.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
my pleasure. No, thank you. That was really good fun. So yeah, thanks so much, Gregor. I'll let you finish things off, and we
Cool.
can.
Thanks for
say
watching,
goodbye.
everyone. Bye now.
Thanks all.